Welcome to the Happier Life Project, the official podcast from the award-winning mental health and wellness app, My Possible Self. Hosted by broadcaster and journalist Gabby Sanderson.
Hello, it's Gabby. Welcome to the first bonus episode of the Happier Life Project. From now on, alongside our regular Tuesday main episodes, where we'll continue to bring you the best resources and advice from our fabulous expert guests to help you on your mental health and wellness journey. On Fridays, or as I was about to say, Fridays, it's going to be a little bit different. We're going to bring you something shorter and lighter. This is our opportunity to explore a wider range of topics, share extra content from the main episode, maybe introduce a meditation we're loving, or even offering a peek behind the curtain from the world of My Possible Self. The idea is to help you head into the weekend feeling good. And with that in mind, today's episode is here to support anyone struggling with the back-to-scaries. Whether you're heading off to college or university, starting your very first year or heading into your last, you're probably feeling a mix of excitement and nerves. New schedules, new people, new pressures. It's a lot to take in. Or maybe you're not off to college or uni, you're starting a new job or returning after a nice summer break or rejoining a hobby or beginning a brand new one. Those flutters of anxiety entering the unknown can easily overshadow the excitement and sometimes even bring on feelings of dread. But fear not, you're not alone. Me and my good friend and colleague, Chlo Hodgkinson, have got you. So let's do this. Welcome everybody to episode 1 of the Happier Life Project's bonus edition, I suppose, dropping on Fridays. And I could think of no better person to join me today than the wonderful Chlo Hodgkinson, who is also part of the My Possible Self crew. Hi.
Yeah. Hello. Thanks for having me again.
Full disclosure, put all our cards on the table. We have played quite a lot of repeats to get us to this point, to be ready to launch a new season and to zhuzh things up and bring more content, I suppose, to everybody. So we've not checked in for a while. How's your summer been?
Right. I'm just going to put it out there, but I think I'm just going to accept that I don't think I thrive in summer the way the world expects us to.
Okay. I need you to elaborate.
Okay. So I would say for the past, I'm just looking back at the years, throughout the years. Don't get me wrong. There's beautiful moments in summer. So we always go out to Spain and there's definitely lovely moments. And I love being able to go outside for a walk. But I just think spring and autumn are more my vibe. Every single year there's been something in summer. So this year I've literally spent the past month being ill, with my partner also being ill and my little boy being ill. We've just been battling things.
Oh, no.
It was just 4 weeks of pure exhaustion. This week has been the best week. Last year I got a really horrendous virus and was bedbound for 5 days. Year before, I had awful morning sickness because I was pregnant. And I just think maybe I just need to stop expecting so much of summer and just accept that I may be thriving in other seasons. Whereas I feel there's a lot of pressure to have a really good summer.
There is that, yeah. And it's supposed to be the time when we're supposed to be all energized and, all the things we've manifested have come into fruition.
Yeah. Whereas I'm just not sure I'm on that. I'm more a September girly. So this whole back to routine, all of that is what I'm about. So sorry to start on a bit of a damp, but I'm just trying to keep it real. How's your summer been?
Well, I wish I could pick up there and been mine's been full of energy and woo, I'm loving life, but it's been a struggle for me as well. I mean, I'm with you that I'm an autumn baby. I love autumn. I'm not so keen on spring. So, that is what it is. But for me, I'm not really into summer. And, I live in Portugal, so the summer has been bloody hot. And I don't mean to sound really ungrateful or whatever, but I moved into a new place and the air conditioning, I'm paying a lot to have air conditioning, and then it didn't work from the moment I moved in. And in true Portuguese contractor style, it took them over 2 months to fix. So we were reaching highs of like 40 degrees and I had no air conditioning, and I couldn't open my patio door or my window because they're building a hotel down the street, which nobody told me about before I moved in. So there's a lot of drilling. So yeah, hot, stuffy, and I've just been a bit like, oh, come on, roll on September. Also treading water a bit, and maybe part of that has been because of the podcast and because, you know, yourself, we're both ready to get going and like create and stuff, and we've had to sort of bide our time a little bit, and it's just kind of felt a bit like stuck. So
Cool. Yeah.
Back to the theme of today's episode though, Chlo, it's back to, I mean, I think we've both talked about the fact that we're actually quite keen to get back to some sense of more normality. But for a lot of people, whether they're going back to college, back to university, back to work, like those first day back to nerves, have you ever experienced that?
Yeah, but I think I've always been someone, I think my soul needs to work. So like I always got quite excited, like even school, uni, I've always loved being in a routine and like in something. I would say more excitement. Like I said earlier, I do love a routine and I love being in that. So I I would probably have started around now, like getting all my school books ready, getting my uni books, like getting a new bag, like sorting myself out and like planning the week and being like, right, I'll go to this is my timetable. Actually, talking about timetables, that's the one thing that would make me nervous. I like to know what I'm doing, and I always found it a little bit like the fact that you don't know what your next year looks like until that first day when you find out your timetable. That always made me really nervy because I was like, oh, I want to know now.
Yeah, I hear you. I mean, you're a very bubbly lady, but have you ever struggled with like formulating friendships, or, you know, that kind of shyness when you go in and you're like, oh, hi everyone. Your first year is the worst, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, the first year. But like I say, I've always quite liked work. So after I left school, I think like with uni, I was very much there for a mission. And I don't know if that's always the best way to be. I feel like friendships came sort of further down the list for me. Like I had good friends. I had good friends at home. And don't get me wrong, I made good friends at uni. I don't really catch up with them anymore. We have each other on social media, but I think talking specifically about uni, I was there to learn and I was going to get the job I wanted out of it rather than go in there to socialise, I guess.
Right.
What about you?
Well, I'm the opposite really, because I was there to socialise. No, I'm kidding. Although I did, don't get me wrong, I really did. No, I made some lifers, you know. Some of my best friends came from the uni years. If they weren't on my specific course, then they were like adjacent to. In fact, a couple of them are coming back, I think, for the fourth time since I've moved to Lisbon. It's not been that long. Can't get rid of them. So, the social aspect for me was like, I mean, I know it sounds cliche, but when people say, oh, it's the best time of your life, but for me, it really was the best time of my life. But for those back to nerves, I mean, I think I was a bit of a unique case because I worked my summers in Ibiza. So I always left it right until the last minute. I wanted every single day, you know, I could on the White Isle. So I would literally one specific year, I think it was my second year. I literally flew in the morning and then went straight into enrollment. And I was so hungover because I'd partied the night before. And then the lady said, what year are you in? And I stopped and I went, and she said, you don't know what year you're in? And I was like, no, I didn't sleep last night.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, so I think my kind of nerves were probably more like, oh my God, I must stink of booze and like look like an absolute hobo. But
yeah, see, when with uni as well, I think I got nerves around. I knew I wasn't. So I studied fashion, media, and marketing. and I wasn't into fashion as much as what some of the others, like they were like diehard. They knew every season of like Prada, like all of the top dogs. They were like so into it. They'd seen all London Fashion Week over the summer. They'd done this, they'd done that, and I just like wasn't in that. So I think there was also
God, it's like Devil Wears Prada.
Yeah, a little bit.
You were on Hathaway.
I just knew I wasn't like, I was more into fitness, and I wanted to do like fitness media and marketing really, or like wellness media and marketing. So I think there was like a bit of like, I always got a bit nervous about that, about like how I fitted in, I guess. But then I also think that played to my advantage, right? Like I fully took on the fact I was a little bit of an outsider. Like I wasn't really into it. So I think that also helped me maybe in my confidence, and maybe in that friendship group style thing, you know, like I didn't really, I definitely had friends there, definitely, but I wasn't that into fashion. So I guess it helped me a little bit. I guess it was like, it removed a bit of the comparison, as much as sometimes when you'd go into like the first lesson of the day and they'd be talking about like, oh, tell me about Alexander McQueen's latest, and I'm like, well, Nike released a new trainer the other day.
Well, you're actually like hitting on a really valid point, and that's, you know, what a lot of people struggle with is like the kind of outsider feeling when you don't feel like you fit in with everybody else. I've done that with work actually, and it was a similar thing. It was like I actually got asked if I wanted the job when I was in Ibiza working in music, but it was like a clothing brand that wanted to be associated with music. And then I kind of rocked into the job, and it was my first job in London, and it was in Shoreditch, and everyone was super trendy, and I just was like, no disrespect to anybody at all, but I was just like, these are not my people. These are really not my people. And I did feel like a complete outsider there.
But I also think being the outsider, like I think that gave me, I was so confident at uni, I think, because I was a little bit of one thing that's brilliant about fashion is that like alternative is very much like applauded, like if you had your thing. And I think when I look back at school, I looked at people that like were really good at football, like really good, like maybe they were really good swimmers and they had their thing. I never really had that in school. So then at uni, when I became like the fitness one, that really helped my confidence. Don't get me wrong, it led me into a spiral of all kinds of unhealthy habits as I went down, like restriction and all of that. But
you can listen back to previous episodes.
Yeah, but I also think it really helped with my like inner confidence, like, this is who I am. I'm different to you. And I think we are all so different, right? I feel myself getting hyped talking about this, you know? I feel like I'm like, this is maybe like a bit of a personal chat to me, is like our uniqueness and our weirdness is actually the thing that's going to get us where we want to be. If we spend our whole time trying to fit into different groups, you're only ever holding yourself back from like your power, in a way, as cringe as that might sound.
That's such a good point. So then what advice would you give to anybody that's maybe lacking in confidence to kind of like embrace their uniqueness when they're feeling like quite intimidated? You know, when you see, and it doesn't have to be just like back to college or uni or whatever, it's back to work as well. It's applicable in so many situations. So if you join in a new social group or whatever, you know, a new kind of exercise class, when there's friendships that have already been formed and everybody's kind of in a circle and they're having a chat around the water machine or whatever, like that can feel really intimidating to go over and be like, hi guys, you know, like what would you say to anyone that does struggle a little bit with confidence?
I've not been someone that's suffered from being okay with chatting to people. So obviously I'm coming from someone that's like, I quite like being on camera. I liked being on stage as a kid. So like, I've never struggled with that side of things. But I think if you understand who you are, so like, I do like fitness. I do like really loud clothes. Like I do love chatting to people and being on stage. Once you know all those things, then I think when you're in environments, you can play to those things. Like if you're starting conversations with people and you know you're into fitness and they're into fitness, there's that communication thing and like that thing in common that you can decide. But also when you know fully who you are, I think it's easier to find your people in those situations. So like, you know, if there's a group of group of people, I was going to say girls, but I feel like we get such a bad rap for doing that. So I'm just going to say group of people stood around the water tank and they're being, their conversation looks very closed off. They're not my people. I don't want to, I'm not that keen to be in that. Do you know what I mean? Whereas actually, who's the person that sort of maybe sat on their own, or like who's the group of people that are having a chat, but maybe it looks a little bit more open, go to those people and don't worry about the people by the water fountain, because those people by the water fountain might just be having a really private chat and one day they'll become your people. But just right now in this situation, don't force yourself to go over and try and burst into a group if that's not really your vibe.
You're so good at reframing things, Chlo. Yeah, I really like that.
I don't know where this wisdom's come from, Gabby. The past 4 weeks I had zero. I had no wisdom. So there's someone else.
It's in your happy place, aren't you? You're working. I think that's what it goes back to, you know? Yeah, I mean, I know this is going to be hard to believe, but I've struggled with, like, I hate speaking in front of people. Like, I love doing like a podcast or like in a radio studio, but put me on a stage, I'm like, don't look at me.
I just can't imagine that.
Exactly. That's what people say. But I'm literally like, if I could just like turn all the lights off, or maybe if I could do my presentation with my back to everybody, I'd do it a lot better. Trust me. It's gotten worse after COVID, I will say as well. Yeah. You know, like I'll go out with a group of mates and I'll know some of them, but not all of them. And I will feel quite intimidated, and like we'll go to a bar and everybody's chatting, and I'm not a big drinker, and you know, I'm actually drinking less and less and less. So a lot of the times I'll go out and I'll just not drink. So I'm already feeling like a bit of an outsider being the only one that's not drinking. So a little hack that I do is I channel one of my best friends. She's called Cara. She's Irish. She's a typical fiery Irish person. And she's just like, you know, she walks into a room and she commands the attention, and she's very like ride or die. She loves hard and she's confident, and she's like a badass bitch, pardon my French, when it comes to like, she works in global content and stuff and has got a big job. So I'm not like trying to do a single white female or anything, but like I try and think of like her qualities, and it's that fake it until you make it. So I'm like, you know, I try and embody that. I use it as well, like if I'm going for a job interview and I'm like, yeah, but it's like if I'm going into an environment where I feel like I'm the newbie, or I've not seen people in a while.
Isn't it?
Yeah, there you go.
Like, you have, is it Maya on the podcast?
Yeah, Maya Chora.
Yeah, you like she's all about that, isn't she? Like, okay, who do I want to be? Okay, and I think that's easier said than done. Guys, I really feel like something's channeling me today. This conversation, I found it last time as well. I found this conversation really healing, because I feel like it's really opened up. Like, yeah, you're like, set the intentions, Chloe. Remember who you are. Like, own your space. Like, be confident. Maybe that is channeling someone, but like, set the intention about what it is that who you want to be and how you want to come across each day. Because I think when you're present and you set those intentions, you are able to then like carry on the rest of your day with more power, right?
Yeah, absolutely. When this lands, it's going to be early September time. So this might just be when somebody is about to go back to work, back to uni. If they could take away one piece of advice from you, Chlo, what would you like to say to our listeners?
I think it's got to be the theme of what I've been talking about. It's just own who you are. Don't shrink yourself. I just think when you can really just take ownership, Gabby, I really feel like this is, like I said, I can feel my chest opening. I feel like I'm like fully like remembering all of this. Like when you can just remember who you are and don't shrink yourself to fit around other people, I think that you're just going to find life and this process so much easier. So like, yeah, I guess my piece of advice is just own who you are. Don't try and shrink yourself to fit into groups that clearly aren't meant for you, because your right groups of people or your right situations won't ask that of you.
Oh, you're making my heart open as well.
Oh. Honestly, Gabby, this has been so healing for me.
Oh, I'm so glad. Thank you.
Yeah,
well,
I really feel like it's like made me, like realise that I'm all right.
Hello friends, it's Gabby back with you. If you are suffering with your mental health, there is a crisis button on the My Possible Self app which will signpost you to the correct information for immediate expert advice. Those of you who are listening on one of the podcast platforms, the My Possible Self app is completely free to download. You can access all of the content, so you don't need to worry about it costing you anything. If you found this episode helpful, please do subscribe and leave a review and share it with your friends. And to find and follow us on social media, we are most active on Instagram, and you can find us at My Possible Self. And I've been at Radio Gabby. Until the next one, do take care. Bye for now.